What's up, guys? Brian Phobos here. So I have some insight on why maybe there's extra sell pressure on Zcash. Let's take a look at this. Zcash is at $44.73. I was kind of perplexed here lately. I was like, I'm really surprised that Zcash is getting around this 50 mark and even below 50. And then just today on CoinDesk, it actually came out. Zcash developer Litecoin company reveals Q1 financial loss. And so 20% of Zcash that is mined actually goes to the developer reward, the founder's reward. So 80% of the block reward goes towards miners, with the remainder dispersed as a founder's reward. So 20% of all Zcash goes to the founders for development and marketing and that kind of stuff. So anyway, it says at an average of $55 per coin, the ECC made $336,900 per month on block rewards alone in Q1. Expenses hit $525,000 for the company, plus $110,000 per month for employees over the same period. So not only are they probably burning through 20% of the block reward, they're also even maybe dipping into funds that they had kind of stacked up previously. And again, this is tough for a lot of these companies, anything that's maybe organized like this, that you constantly have sell pressure if there is some sort of centralized entity working on development and stuff like that. So it is a little bit of a catch-22. You could have continued development. And that's one of the things that's popped up with Litecoin lately, is that people are saying, well, development's kind of stagnated, or that most of the code is essentially just Bitcoin code. There's only a few people working on it. And, there's advantages to that, and there's disadvantages. And there's advantages to what Zcash has set up, and there's disadvantages as well. Now, for me personally, and this is Zcash's first bear market, because it came out in 2016. So obviously, things were okay in 2016, and then they had 2017. And if they structured everything right and sold at the right times and stuff like that, they could have really allocated, proper funds and stuff like that to make it through bear markets. Steam is another company. Steam Incorporated also did not manage this, boom and bust cycle very well at all, and had literally hundreds of millions of dollars and just pissed it away essentially. So they ended up in a situation where they couldn't complete their task, and they haven't been able to fulfill their obligations on Steam Media tokens and some other stuff. And they still hold 30% of the supply, and they're doing programmatic selling out on the exchanges each month. So it really puts a lot of sell pressure on it. And so a lot of times when I look at these type of things, I have to evaluate that in, am I going to take a deeper position in it, or why is the price sagging? And I do think that this is interesting insight from Zcash. So whether they have to cut back on employees some more and kind of get this under control and kind of go more into a dormant state and go with a skeleton crew through the rest of this bear market, I don't know. Hopefully they kind of figure that out. Now, as Zcash falls, though, I am looking to acquire more to get my average down and stuff like that, because ultimately, I still think that the thing plays true that in the next bull run, the majority of people aren't going to know any of this. They're not going to understand what a blockchain even is. They don't understand any of that. It's just that the price is going up. They see some different coins, is this good, is that good? They hear like a one-line description of what it is. They're like, well, that sounds cool. I like the logo. And then they just buy into it, and it sits there on Coinbase, or it sits on Kraken, or it sits on Gemini. And Zcash is on all three of those major fiat gateways. It's, in general, it's on the majority of exchanges. Pretty much it's on everything. Everybody has this listed. So, even ones that have maybe shied away partially from anything that has anonymity technology. Now, obviously, you have to be using certain wallets and stuff like that with Zcash if you do want the anonymity features. But even Coinbase added it, and they obviously have not wanted to add Monero, and they have hesitated to add Z or Dash as well. So whatever reason that may be, if it's anonymity related or what, they do have Zcash, and Gemini has Zcash, and Gemini doesn't have very many offerings at all. So I think that's going to bid well for Zcash in the next boom, but for right now, I guess for your own investment reasons, again, you have to decide if it's something for you. But that might be a big reason why the price has sagged this much. And personally, I was kind of scratching my head a little bit because ultimately you kind of don't know how much are they spending. Yes, I knew there was a founder's reward, but I didn't know how much of it are they spending, and wasn't really like focused in on tracking their addresses, if that's even public. I don't even know if that's public. So there you have it. There's a little insight on that. Now, as far as Steam goes, again, like I said, you have to think, and there's so many moving pieces with this that I think a lot of people have really kind of become confused because of functionality versus price action. And it is confusing. You think like, okay, Steam is actually the most well-developed blockchain ecosystem that's out there. There's all these different dApps that connect to it. If you want to call them dApps, or if you want to call them just different entryways into the blockchain to communicate with the blockchain, you got all kinds of apps. You got eSteam, Partico. You have these front ends like busy.org, steamit.com, obviously being the main one. And then you got games like Steam Monsters. You have other games. There's one called Drug Wars. There's one called like Next Colony. Different people playing these games. So you think, wow, there's so much stuff going on. And even if you look at Blocktivity, you have a lot of activity with Steam, and you're just thinking, okay, it's fourth on this list behind EOS, Tron, Kin, and Steam is fourth. That has more transactions, more operations going on than Bitcoin. And obviously we see with Bitcoin, the network's almost at full utilization. Steam is not even moving the needle. These kind of things. So it can support a lot of volume, and there's a lot going on Steam, but the price has sagged really badly. And then it's just like, okay, economically, why is this? Inflation rates, got 8.59% inflation, at its current time. You have, I think, mining is very, very tough. So with something like Litecoin or Bitcoin or Monero or Zcash or these, you're having to expend a lot of, obviously, money to buy the equipment to be able to mine it. You have to have the technical know-how to do that. And, electricity isn't free and these kind of things. So it's not easy to mine. It's very difficult. But with Steam, you have a relatively low barrier of entry for someone to try to get something, like somebody to extract some kind of something out of it. So you don't have to pay to really get on there. You can get a free account and you can start going. Whereas if you're going to mine, you're going to in some way, shape, or form be using a resource, electricity, computing power, that kind of thing. So that kind of drains on the lower end. And then you've got a large amount of the Steam being held by very few people. Steam Incorporated, some of the witnesses, some of these early investors and stuff like that. And so they're able to sort of in a way front run everybody else, and everybody else is trying to get a piece of this. But then it's just like, well, how much would you have to spend to level up and make it, be a decent return, and not just totally getting eaten up by capital depreciation, that the price is falling. And that is a very, very tough question to answer. I try to relate it to real estate in general and in a lot of markets, and it's not always true because every market's different and stuff like that. But I always kind of look at real estate, and it's like, well, if you could buy a rental property, let's say for $100,000, and you got $1,000 per rent, for rent each month, then basically that's $12,000 for the year, and it's essentially a 12% return. And then it's like, well, how long is it going to take? How many years is it going to take to get your investment back? That kind of thing. Or can you live, if you own the thing all cash, can you live off the $1,000 a month? And then it's like, well, maybe not. But what if you bought 2 or 3 rental properties that were, $100,000 a piece, and then you end up with $3,000 a month, that kind of thing. So I try to equate it to that. Like, how much money would you have to put into Steam to actually then essentially be kind of like, getting enough money out of it to live off of. And that's a very, very hard thing to determine. And it's kind of a moving target. Obviously, the economics have changed. 45% going to the content creators, 45% going to the curators, the people upvoting, and now there's 10% going to the proposals. And that's just the reward pool in general. Now, as far as the proposals go, again, I did put a proposal out there for a 2D arcade game where you can win more Steam. Kind of an interesting thing. Did get some votes and stuff, but I think everybody's a little bit confused, even some of the people who have been kind of around this. That's why there's this test going on here, theory testing proposal that Jarvie's doing, who's in connection with Steam Peak, because nobody's gotten paid out from this yet. So this number is getting bigger. Steam-backed dollars is getting bigger, but nothing has really been paid out from that. And so we're not really sure. I'm not really sure if we're not hitting a threshold or when it's going to start paying out. So exactly how that's going to work, not really sure. And some of this stuff, you have to ask yourself, is it like, well, is this something that's a worthy cause, or is it going to just actually cause more sell pressure on the price of Steam? Like this class action lawsuit versus Facebook, Google, crypto ad ban. I mean, it's a little bit trying to recover spilled milk in my mind. It's like, okay, they banned like crypto ads in like 2018, and then it's like, okay, you're going to blame them for the fact that the price went down, and then you're going to chase them and pay these lawyers to try to work on this for like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, this kind of thing. And it's just like, I don't think that's a worthy cause, to do that and try to chase down that money and stuff. And I just think ultimately for people to recover any kind of funds out of that, it's just really the lawyers just get paid to just dick around and file paperwork. And, like I always say, don't ever fully trust a lawyer. Don't ever fully trust a politician, or maybe not at all. So personally, I don't think that is going to help. It's not going to help the price of Steam. And maybe you don't even think that what I'm basically saying with this 2D arcade game, maybe you feel like, how is that really going to help Steam if there's, a little game that somebody can play? Facebook games, there was a point when Facebook games actually helped a lot of engagement, people connecting on Facebook and stuff like that. So games have been effective in keeping people around, keeping people engaged, keep people coming back. But maybe you don't feel that way. But if you want to check out the proposal, you can go there, and then you can vote through steampeak.com/proposals, and you have to Steam Connect through that, to be able to vote and to be able to post there. Steam Peak's pretty cool. It's just another way to look at the Steam blockchain. But again, this is going to stack up. There's going to be more funds here, and however that ends up getting allocated, does it stay in the ecosystem, or does it end up getting sold, for other crypto, and ends up kind of hemorrhaging additional money out of Steam? Not really sure. Not really sure how this is all going to work and the economics behind it. But anyway, guys, that's a little bit more insight on why ZCash, could be, getting beat up on price. There's this extra sell pressure. I thought it was odd. I thought it was strange that it had gotten down to $50, and then it's, dropped down below 55 now, and I was just like, man, like, am I missing something? And then today this came out. So anyway, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think 20% of the block reward for ZCash is too much? And what do you think about Steam? Do you think that this new proposal system is going to help? And do you think it helps that curators, the people upvoting, are getting a bigger percentage compared to essentially getting equal that the content creators are getting. What do you think about that economics? Is that going to work out well for it? Leave your comments below, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on all other social media, Instagram, YouTube, Steemit, Twitter. See you guys later.